What is happening, guys? We're doing some more downhill reviews and we're talking about some changes that have, well, not changes that have gone down, but potential changes that might be going down. And I think we asked the question again and again, is downhill dying? Is enduro dying? Is the sport going backwards or is it going forwards? And coming off these documents that have been leaked recently, and whenever I see something has been leaked, I always got to wonder, like, it's been leaked for a reason. It's been put out there. Like, this doesn't just kind of get out there. Like, this is all tactical when these things come out. It's like when you see these things like nudes leaked. I'm like, did the person put those out there or did it actually just find its way out there from some other way? Now, in saying that, obviously stuff does get leaked sometimes, but I feel like this has been put out for a reason. So the Pink Bike title or headline is Racing Rumours. Leaked documents suggest last chance qualifier, less downhill teams, more World Cups, reform for 2025. Now, obviously, the World Cups are about to end. There's one more race to go down in Canada. Obviously, Loic's wrapped up the title for that. But going into next year, it seems like there's a lot of changes going down. And it seems like there's going to be a lot of people missing out on a proper ride. We saw, obviously, going into this year, riders like Danny Hart didn't have a ride. Now, he almost became world champion this year. And you think about that someone that didn't have a ride going into this season was almost world champion. It's crazy how many top athletes now almost miss out on stuff just because of how deep the field is now. So you look at even like 5 years ago, and it's still now you've got your established top guys, but on any given day, the guy that's getting 10th to 15th can win a World Cup. And you look at that with guys like Ronan Dunn, who obviously was getting more consistent. Now he's a World Cup winner. He's constantly on the podium. He's always there. But it gets mixed around so much, and you look at the results just going off the most recent World Cup at Ludonvial and how mixed up it can get with riders and results. So I think it's why we love the sport, but it's also interesting to see the direction they want to go with this. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is downhill semifinals could be replaced by last chance qualifier. Now, I find this really interesting because and they're also looking at no more protected riders. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. When I was a protected rider, loved it. Best thing ever. A lot less stressful on your weekend, but it does really alter how you show up to a race weekend, because if you're protected, you feel way less urgency to actually perform quicker, and you can build on your weekend a lot slower and actually find your lines and not be so worried about having to get that qualifying result done to get into the final. And if you're a rider that obviously doesn't have to worry about that, that's a lot of stress off your shoulders. You don't care so much about the weather. You don't care so much about getting up to speed as quick as other riders. And this plays a massive factor on conserving energy and just mental power as well, mental energy. It's a lot more stressful as soon as you get outside of what was that top 20. And now obviously they mix around with protected from the last year, the top 10, and then obviously the current top 20. So they're looking to change that to make it so absolutely no riders will be protected. And what they want to do is the first qualifier, the top 20 from that qualifying, will go in to the final. And then the next, I think so, they'd obviously run the top 20, and then maybe, I guess, out of all riders, so it would be like 100 and whatever riders would get cut down, and then they'd go again. So I don't know if it's the top 60. They haven't really explained that here, but I don't know if it's like the top 60 then go to the last chance qualifier. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to play that, or whether it's going to be all riders get to go up and have another crack at it. But the top 20, will get in, and then there'll be 10 more spots for the last chance qualifier will go through. Now, I think you should just do the qualifying, let the top 30 through, and then just do a last chance qualifier for like 5 guys and just go hell for leather and just let them throw down. And maybe just televise the last chance qualifier, because if you ever watch motocross, that's normally the most interesting racing, because it's all or nothing for those last spots. But yeah, they're saying that no riders will be given protection, and that everyone will obviously have to battle for those spots, which I honestly think is more fair. Like, as much as when I was protected, and you can become biased because you obviously don't want that stress in your body over a race weekend. You just want to be able to show up, get it done, not have to worry about that extra little bit of stress, whether you will or won't get in. But I think it just evens out the racing, because so many times you get flat tires, you get all these issues that happen. and you can push that bit harder. Like I know when I was a protected rider, I would push harder in qualifying because I knew if I got a flat, mechanical, I crashed, no matter what it was, I'm sweet. I'm in anyway. You lose a little bit of points, but you're better off pushing, and the likelihood of gaining those points by getting a good qualifying result was far outweighed the idea of maybe you might have a mechanical or an accident. So I'm all here for that. I think protection should go out the window and they should just run it. Honestly, I'm going to be real. I think they should just go back to just going from qualifying straight to finals, and not even have the extra run. But I guess this is a way of like easing into the idea. I think the semis need to go completely. I feel like they obviously got better by doing them both on the same day as qualifying and not doing a semi and then a final on the same day. I think it's just way too much stress for the riders, and it just, I don't know, I didn't adapt to it quite well. I honestly only did a season with it, but it just felt rushed, and it felt like it was hard to get that one run, all or nothing mindset together, and I struggle with that a lot. So I'm here for that. I don't know what you guys think about that, whether you think it's better or worse, but it's interesting to see that they're kind of trying to change it up. With the women, they're going to go back to top 15, and again, it's going to be top 10 are going to go through for the qualifying, and then the next 5 will be the last chance qualifier. Now, this isn't confirmed, but it sounds like this is the way it's going to go. Also, what they want to do is do a 3-person podium, which I really don't get. Like, what's wrong with a 5-person podium? I feel like for no real extra effort, 2 extra people can kind of be seen as achieving something really good. And I feel like that's just going to help sponsors. It's going to help teams. It's just kind of gives these people the recognition they deserve for obviously doing a great result. And I think, like, you got to buy 2 more bottles of champagne. You got to call 2 more names out. I'm all here for the top 5 for the podium. I think, why not? Why not? Out of 100 and something riders that rock up on the day, give 2 more a little bit more of a shine. So I'm all here for the 5-person podium. I know some people say that's not like a real podium, like top 3 is a real podium, but I'm like, everyone knows you got top 3 anyway, so it's like they're getting what they deserve. But I'm here for the top 5, but they might be cutting that back. Obviously, Enduro already just does a top 3. A lot of other sports just do top 3, but I've always thought it was cool that they did the top 5. Apparently, it started because I think Cadell Evans, back when he was racing mountain bikes, got 4th somewhere or 5th. And they really wanted him on the podium because he was a big name at the time and he would give a lot of exposure. So I think they just did a top 5 podium. That's what I've heard. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if that's 100% true, but I have heard that. Another thing they want to propose is changing so each rider can have their own number between 2 and 999. Now they can pick whatever number they want. I'm pretty sure this is only if they have been a race winner in the past before, or maybe like an overall champion or have some kind of status. Now, I'm not sure exactly how they will determine who gets to pick first, whether it might go off a ranking system of like most wins, most overalls, whatever it is. Obviously, the higher UCI points or something like that, you get first pick it, whatever number it is. I think it's a good idea. I think it helps us have an identity around a number. You see in like MotoGP, like 46 is Rossi, and you get these Stoner, I think it's 28. You get their number, and their number is part of their branding and who they are as a person. So I really think that is a good idea to kind of have a personalized number so people can relate the brand to you. And just also seeing you out on track. If you had your own number up front all year, people are going to recognize that's you a little bit more, especially with how kits and gear is changing every race. Like when I was racing, I always liked getting a new kit, and I thought it was cool because you always just look different, look cool. But from the outside looking in, it's hard for casual fans to actually recognize who you are week in, week out. If you got a new kit every race weekend, and it's hard to like follow who you are and get behind this image of you and your brand. Like I think when I was watching like Sam Hill race back in like 2007, he had this blue and black Troy Lee kit, and he wore that pretty much every race. And that's the image of how I see Sam Hill at his peak, was that gear, that riding style, and that era of him. So I do see how all these different kits can kind of mess up how people actually view the athletes and how it kind of always changes around, and it's a bit harder to follow. So I think the number thing could be cool. Number one will be reserved for the overall leader at the time or the winner from the previous year. And then the rest of the numbers sound like they're going to be able to be picked by different people. One big thing that has come across this is there's only going to be 40 World Series teams may be registered. And I think this is the massive one because this might take off a lot of seats at the table. So this is a total of 20 gravity teams, downhill and enduro, and a total of 20 endurance teams, XCO, XCC. So it sounds like they're going to try and narrow it down, but then also they want to have paddock management, hospitality options, marketing rights, and entry fees and accreditation. So it sounds like they want to make it like they're really just going to this whole like F1 professionally run idea where they want less, but they want to make it done a lot better. Now, I understand that mindset and I understand how they want it to be the who's who at the very top and they want to make it seem very professional. They obviously don't want the tracks to get as beat up. They want to run stuff so it's smoother. They don't have as many riders. But I think this is a great short-term solution. But we always chat about this where you've got riders like Andreas Kobe, Benoit Coulange. These guys did not find their feet in World Cup racing for a long, long time. So if you cut down a number of teams, obviously that means the number of athletes get cut down. Those riders that are in the kind of 40 to 30 to 50 kind of range that take longer to find their feet at World Cup downhill, where do they go? And how do they get to that next level of being able to compete at the highest level? So it's a tricky one. I think that they're trying to make it too professional, and also for spectating at an event as well. Like, people don't want to go there and watch 30 riders. People love the fact that when they go to a World Cup, there are so many riders that can just go on the side of the track and watch. And now if you're cutting that down, like even watching last year for the finals day with only 30 elite men and 10 elite women, you're standing there for a long time watching nothing. And it's quite boring. So if they're trying to get people to go to these events and bring money into the town, not just obviously through paying for the subscription or buying the broadcasting rights, I think there's going to lose a lot of money out of the actual venues holding these events. So I'm interested to see how that plays out, but it sounds like a lot of seats are getting cut at the table, and it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. There is a hope to establish a continental race series to develop riders for World Cups. Now, this is one of those things I'll believe it when I see it. They talk about this, but it's like, who is going to put in the effort to actually build this? Who is going to make a series that is going to be like a feeder series for the World Cups? Obviously, we have the IXS. Obviously, we have Crankworks. We have these events, but it's not really the same. Now, I don't know if they make the World Cups more professional, whether those will grow and more effort and more energy and more money will get put into those. But as it stands now, it's World Cup racing is head and shoulders above everywhere else. And to try and break in to that is going to be pretty hard, it seems. So I'd love to see them come out with a different series or with like an elevated IXS or an elevated Crankworks where there's more money, there's more points, there's more coverage, there's more everything, and come out and say, this is what we're doing. And then along with that, we're going to make this more professional. It seems like they're kind of going down this route of this is all going to be more professional, but there's kind of no backup or plan B on the side kind of thing. So it's going to be... I'm going to move my tree. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out and whether they actually do come up with a good solution for riders that may not be in that top 30 consistently at World Cup. So yeah, it's getting cut down, but and they also reckon EEDR, so obviously the electric enduro World Series could be dead now, and they don't reckon they're going to be running that in 2025. So it's crazy to think that e-bike sales are one of the biggest sales for bikes, but they don't want to actually run a series where they've got them competing. Now, I think it's just the viewership and everything is hard to obviously view what enduro racing, let alone like enduro e-bikes. So I get it. I get that it's hard to view. I think they've been trying to do more with like the power stages and making it more interesting and more engaging. But from looking in, I think it's just they don't have the superstars. They don't have the athletes. Like a lot of the athletes are kind of retired downhill racers or ex enduro races. So they're kind of like past their peak, past their prime, and they just don't carry the same interest. I guess that's a big thing why they're not having that draw. But again, it seems sad that more what would you say, categories are getting cut, and they're kind of narrowing it all down. And I get it. They want to do a more professional series and focus on the kind of main characters and main people that can perform and bring in those viewerships and bring in that money. But at the same time, if you just cut everything out of it, it's just going to feel a bit dead, I think. Like it's going to make the sport feel a bit empty. So I've looked at some of the comments, and the overall theme is a lot of people are just kind of tired of, like, they're just over it. They have lost interest. They don't engage with it like they used to. And it just sounds like people are kind of slowly, I don't know, falling out of love with downhill racing or mountain bike racing as a whole. Now, I have to check and look at viewership, but I have talked to some people that said the viewership has actually gone up. Now, obviously, now that they're not going through Red Bull TV and they get sold to like a broadcaster, which then plays it. Like, for example, I think you watch it on Stan Sports in Australia, and there's different platforms that you can watch it for free, or obviously you pay for your subscription for Stan or whatever it may be. So it is almost easy to watch it in a way. So I can see how the viewership could go up. But I guess for some of the diehards that just love the sport, don't enjoy it like they used to, like it definitely feels like it's got a bit of a different taste with what's happening. So I'm going to be honest, I feel like I kind of got out at the right time in a way. Like I feel like it's just so much politics around the sport now. And one of the big things when we were competing, and one of the big things that kind of pushed me out of the sport, was riders don't have a voice. We created a union, we tried to push for this, but we were not like really united. We'd go to meetings and we'd talk about it, and we'd come up with all these ideas, and then nothing would actually really get pushed forward. And it was so hard because obviously you're competing, you're trying to be invested in your own success in racing, and then you don't really want to be managing a union to then make changes happen. And we'd say all this stuff, and then it would all fall on deaf ears, and then be like, all right, well, we're at a race now and it's about to start and it's too hard, and all right, let's just go. So yeah, I think the riders, I'm not sure what's going on with the riders union. I'm not obviously a part of any of that anymore. But I think it's just hard because I think a lot of the athletes have really good ideas, and I just don't think they get put forward enough. And at the end of the day, like, we're the ones putting our lives on the line. We're the ones putting ourselves out there. We're the ones that are the entertainment. And I think that everyone needs to work together and work towards a goal that we can all agree on, and not be so much organizers, team managers, and athletes, and we're all kind of separate and we're all trying to figure it out in our own little ways. So yeah, I'd like to see more riders have more say and actually see things change that benefit not just the event organizers or team managers, but also the riders. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, but I'm definitely going to sit back and watch and talk about it. And if you guys have any suggestions or things that you think would be good or bad or are going bad, I'd love to hear them, because I told you I see all the comments. I don't always reply to them, but I look at them and it gives me a better idea what to talk about. So thank you guys, and we will chat soon.